All right, so right on the other side of that tree line right there, that is a state park. And just so you know, you are not allowed to film in there and post it on any kind of social media. If you do, you can get up to 6 months in jail and a $10,000 fine. Now, let me ask you this, you guys. Do you think that makes sense with our Constitution? And my answer to that is no. I'm in my car. I'm actually not in the park right now. So I can film from here anything that I want to because I'm on public space. But that is a state park. And they also have this with national monuments, national parks and things like that. So all your national parks and all your state parks in California are all no-fly zone for drones, which that I have no problem with, but they are also against the law to film for anything that's possibly could be commercial. That includes all this land right here. So apparently, even if you have a YouTube channel that is not monetized and you put up videos that are filmed in those parks, I think even if you put it on Facebook and on TikTok, I know TikTok, they do have that specified in the state website, that those videos are considered the same as if you were a big production company. So even if you're one person and your cell phone taking a video of the family and you put it up on YouTube or make a little TikTok, share it around with some people, and I'm sure that Facebook is part of that because that's a money-making business. They say anything that could be deemed commercial is considered commercial. You could be subject to those kind of fines that I was talking about and jail time. So I guess it was around August there was a case that they made a ruling on they hadn't made a ruling, I guess, a year or so ago or something. I don't know the exact dates. But they made a ruling a while back that a person actually sued the national park system, and they actually reversed it for a little while, and then they went back and appealed. The state park system spent tons of money on lawyers and went back and appealed this. I mean, honestly, what is this about? Is this about money? Because they made it almost so impossible for a regular little YouTuber who just takes his camera and goes into a state park and films a car show, for example. He's just filming cars in the parking lot with his cell phone. Has to go through and get an insurance thing, like up to $1 million. Depends on the park, everyone's different. And then you have to specify the exact date you're going to be there and how long you're going to be there and where you're going to be at exactly in the park. It's very, very convoluted. And if you read the forms are based on people who are very large, either YouTubers or very large production companies. The small YouTuber, though, is just as subject to those fines and penalties. So for a little while, I guess it was about a year or so, they had a ruling that this judge had said that yes, that's ridiculous, and he made it so that you could film in a national park with your cell phone. Basically, if you could carry it in a backpack, then it was legal to use that to film for your own, for your YouTube channel or whatever. And that was reversed by another judge when they appealed it, when the state park system, or not the state park, but the national park system decided to appeal this law. And if you read the website, it's really involved to be able to be a YouTuber. So you might say, well, that's no big thing. There's a lot of, it's protecting the park and whatnot. And really what it is, it's a revenue grab for the park, they say, but it doesn't really gain any revenue. And what they're saying is, well, if you got it on YouTube, there's no reason for you to go, where I think it's I think it's the opposite of that. If you see it on YouTube, you want to experience it there. You would love to be there. Because let me tell you, there is nothing like going up to the edge of the Grand Canyon and have somebody close your eyes. I did this with someone. Took them to the edge of the Grand Canyon, and then they'd never been there, and then blindfolded them, and then right at the edge of the canyon, took the blindfold off. There is nothing like that experience. Absolutely, you cannot put it on YouTube. You can't get anything like that conveyed through a camera. I don't care how good 4K, whatever, you're never going to get it is exactly as awesome as it is when you're actually there. You know, I figured that if somebody could carry it in their backpack and just have a few items to do their own videos and make a video without any kind of production crew, without any kind of props, without any kind of carrying lighting and stuff like that, which is basically how the Bureau of Land Management looks at it. According to their website, they had some basic rules, like if you have just like a few people and no large motorized equipment and all this other things, basically they're just explaining what a regular YouTuber is, that you could film anytime you want on the BLM land. In fact, I think they even let you use drones. They didn't specify that you can, I believe. I'd let you read those things on your own and interpret them the way that you want to interpret them. I'm not giving anyone legal advice. But apparently the state parks and California state parks, I don't know about other states. Some of the other states I think are similar. And for the national park system, what I've read on their website is that you cannot film for YouTube unless you have a permit, which is completely, in my opinion, a violation of the free speech. Because today, YouTube is part of free speech. We're going to see how this case pans out. There is a case pending right now. I think it was Gould or something like that versus... he was trying to film something in Gettysburg, but he did have a 5-person film crew, and I don't know what kind of equipment they had. And they were doing a documentary of something, and they were actually shut down and forced to get a permit, and decided to go ahead and take it to court. And it's actually, as far as I can see, what I've seen on it, it's actually in to the Supreme Court for a ruling. So this happened just a few months ago. This has gotten into the Supreme Court. So I don't know how long it's going to take for them to rule on it, but it will be interesting. But it doesn't really pertain to YouTubers, from what I could tell. They did have some cases in there from other things that I was just kind of reading it. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not trying to give legal advice. I was just looking at it for my own self. And I would suggest that you do the same. So let's talk about who is affected the most by this. And this is what really bothers me about this law. Is not the YouTuber. Yeah, people go, well, you rich YouTubers. God, you guys have no idea to think that. Most of us make pennies. It's so small amounts of money, you know, that are even monetized. It's almost not worth your time. And it takes time, money, gas to get to these places and film them. And yeah, over many years, maybe you'll develop some sort of an income that's relevant. So if you're thinking us rich YouTubers all have this money that we can pay, and I think that's what they think when they have no idea, these state park people have no idea what YouTube is like. They've all had some job that they just get a salary from by the government, which to me, if unless you've really worked in the world and had to work for a profit, then you really don't really know what it's like to work. And that's just the honest to God truth. I'm not trying to disrespect somebody that way, but people who have had businesses, who have tried to survive, are the ones who really know what it's like to have to work hard to make your money. So again, who does this affect? It affects the elderly people who cannot no longer get up and go to those places, to go to a national park. Maybe they're in bed. They watch our videos. Those are the guys who watch YouTube the most. It's the people who are medically disabled for whatever reason. They're home watching YouTube. They can't travel. They don't have any money to get there. It affects the poor that don't have the money to travel to these areas of the United States. And they lose their ability to have something brought to them that they can look at. It affects some people that are smaller YouTube channels. Like, for instance, there's a YouTube channel, I think they're called Sin City Outdoors, and they're in Las Vegas, and yeah, they go to Lake Mead all the time, and now they've got to get a permit every time they go to the Lake Mead just to film with their family. I mean, they're just showing things like fishing. They're showing how to respect a lake, how to take care of things. These are all huge necessary things that society needs to be able to function properly, because schools, they don't teach that stuff anymore. Like auto repair, they don't teach that in school anymore. So where do people learn this stuff? YouTube. So a lot of the lakes, most of the lakes in the United States, most of these are all state or national parks where these lakes are. So when they go fishing, say Lake Paris, that's a state park lake, and they film inside catching a fish in the lake, and they film things like, hey, look, you should respect the water, the tide's up, this is a good area for fishing, to be safe, all these different things that these guys are teaching on YouTube, they get thrown under the bus. When I see a guy fishing at some lake, and then I think, man, that'd be kind of cool. I'd love to go fishing there. And it makes me want to go to that lake. Doesn't make me want to just watch YouTube, sit at the house. So it promotes those places, and it does exactly the opposite of what they're saying that it does, which is, I think their argument is that people won't go to the state parks or the federal parks or whatever, the national parks, because they can see it all on YouTube. But honestly, when you go there and you actually see it in person, when you see Yosemite Valley for the first time in person, it's a million times better than any person could ever show you on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing. I've been to a lot of these places. I was planning on traveling to them at some point, maybe videoing them. I can't do that. So what this video is for is a call out for you guys. If you guys want to see this kind of content on YouTube, you need to email your local congressman. Do it now. Email the president. Email the governor of California. Even though I don't like him, email him. I don't know. If they get enough squeaky wheels in there, somehow it seems that they start oiling them. So the thing we need to do is get this content on YouTube. And it's not like we're big production companies where we're going to be doing things like they did back in the 30s and 40s, where they weren't on Bureau of Management land and they burned down buildings and all kinds of stuff and built stuff up and just left the rubble there, like back in the old days of movie shooting. Why that they started all this stuff, and make a sensible set of rules, even if it's paying for something for a permit, that would be no problem. But making it so for instance, you go into the thing, the guy goes, oh, are you going to do any filming today? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and film some stuff for YouTube. Oh, okay, no problem. It's just a $20 fee, and here's your little card. Keep that on your person at all times and while you're filming, so that we know you paid. Makes sense, right? That's all you really need. You don't need to go through all this stuff and get $1 million insurance for just using your cell phone and using, a simple set of, walk around camera equipment that you have in a backpack. They should just have a little set of rules they hand you, pay your little $20 or whatever, or you can buy an annual pass for it, or you can buy an annual pass for all the parks. Something very simple and centralized for YouTubers to be able to film, their family and whatever. There's people on YouTube that go to like national park, and they go national park campground or state campground. You're not allowed to film in a state campground sitting at the fire with your own family and put it on YouTube. Honestly, that's the way it is right now. You could get a super duper fine and go to jail for doing that. Should that be the law? Should that be the way it is? Time to start email your local Congress, email the president, email the governor, and tell them that you don't think this is right, because it's going to affect the elderly. We're all getting older. You know, there's going to be a time when you're in your house and you can't leave, and man, it would be nice to just see some videos on fishing, you know, and you won't be able to see them because most of the lakes are owned by government. And if you go in that lake and take a video of you catching a fish, you can be demonetized, or you can not be demonetized, but you can get a fine for doing that. And you can get put in jail for 6 months. It's just completely absurd. So anyway, hope that helps you guys. I'd like to see what your comments are on that, and make sure you definitely send some emails and do your due diligence, because otherwise, you know, unless we do something, they're just going to it's going to get worse. They'll do it with city parks. They'll do it with all kinds of things. Just anywhere you go, you have a birthday party at a city park, you want to take a video of your grandson getting his, you know, opening his presents, and you put it on YouTube, you can get, you know, they'll have it to that point pretty soon. If you give them an inch, they'll go a mile with it, you know, these people, the government. So welcome to California. This is the California government, again, doing this kind of crap. And, you know, the Democratic government that's in office right now put these laws in place. So anyway, that's what we get when we keep voting for these guys. I'll talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.